decide on a chair. Right. At this moment, would you all please join me in a moment of silence? Thank you. At this time, I would like to ask Mr. Brian Dye to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Dye. At this time, we would like for board members to review and approve the agenda. That needs a motion, correct?
Yes.
I'm new to the chair part of this, so you'll forgive my ignorance. So at this time, we will entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Calfee. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Are there any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. At this time, we would like to, so this is new. I'll just take 1 second to explain that, to my knowledge, this is the first time we've had an organizational meeting in January because municipal elections have changed. So now our new board is seated in January, and it's for school folks. It's a little wanky, but that's okay. We're gonna work right on through it. So at this time, we will have the election of chairperson. And so the floor is now open for nominations for the chair of the Radford City School Board.
Dr. Joyce, I would nominate Gloria Boyd for the position of chair of the school board for the coming school year.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Calfee has nominated Ms. Gloria Boyd. Are there others? Hearing none, at this time, we would like to vote on Ms. Gloria Boyd as chairperson of the Radford City School Board. And if you don't mind, Ms. Long?
I believe they have to have
A second for the nomination? Did I mention that I was new at the chairperson? I'm sorry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Dobbins, a second. Any others? Okay, at this point, would you please do a roll call vote?
To appoint Ms. Gloria Boyd as chairperson for the 2025 school year, how do you vote, Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbins?
Yes.
Ms. Swing?
No.
And Ms. Winter?
Yes.
It passes with a vote of 4-1.
All right, so at this time, congratulations, Ms. Boyd.
You're going to pass it to somebody else?
Right, right, someone else who's new. I hope you learned a lot by watching me. And what not to do. So I'm going to pass the ceremonial gavel and the timer for our public comment. And at this point, I will turn it over to you. Congratulations. Thank you.
So I would open the floor for nominations for vice chair, please.
At this point, I would like to nominate Jane Swing as vice chair for the coming school year.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay. Are there any other nominations? All right, Ms. Long, would you call a roll?
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Dobbins?
Yes.
Ms. Swing?
Yes.
Ms. Winter?
Yes.
And Ms. Boyd?
Yes. All right, Dr. Joyce, I think we're ready for our showcase.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. All right, so this part I'm used to, but you won't know it by watching me here either. I tend to stumble. So we are so excited to recognize tonight with our culinary arts folks from the high school preparing the awesome food that we enjoyed, Mr. Mook and his kids. We appreciate all that they do for us. And this month, it's because we are going to recognize our Teachers of the Year from each school. And I think Dr. McDaniel, do you want to go first or you want the principals to go ahead and? Okay. So we're going to introduce each principal, and they're going to introduce then their Teacher of the Year for their school, respectively. And do I have volunteers to go first? You want to go first? Mr. Simpson from the high school is going to go first. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, school board members. It is my honor and privilege to recognize Mr. Jeff Brown as the 24-25 Radford High School Teacher of the Year. Would we- Mr. Brown is a nationally board certified teacher and has a bachelor's degree in wildlife management and biology, as well as a master's degree in curriculum instruction. He is currently in his 28th year at Radford High School teaching biology and AP biology and serving as the science department head. In addition to his regular teaching responsibilities, he also serves as a sponsor of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA Outdoors, and the Gage Club, and the National Honor Society. In the local community, Mr. Brown often volunteers his time, coaching baseball and basketball, serving at his local church, tutoring refugees, and guest lecturing about salamanders, snakes, DNA, orienteering, hunting safety, and Radford's railroad history. Being relatively new to Radford, Mr. Brown was one of the first teachers I met this summer. In my short time at RHS so far, Jeff has impressed me with his positive attitude and energy, friendliness, and professionalism. Not to mention, he's a Washington Commanders fan, which speaks volumes about his character and his ability to persevere through difficult times.
Can you believe the Commanders are still playing football?
I cannot, but I'm happy about it. Mr. Brown speaks about the Disneyfication of his classroom. His guiding belief here is that he can make every student feel welcomed and valued. If he can make them feel welcomed and valued, they'll want to return to class, even if they aren't thrilled about topics like protein synthesis. Every day, he greets students at the door with a big smile and a fist bump or a high five. Throughout class, he brings positivity and energy, and as students leave, he stands by the door to send them off with another fist bump and a personal goodbye. His colleagues and students all speak extremely highly of him. I asked fellow RHS staff members to share words or thoughts that came to mind when they thought of Mr. Brown, and here's what they had to say. Mr. Brown is very energetic. He can captivate an audience of students with a story about protein synthesis. They coming up a lot here. Offer advice on which college to apply to, congratulate a student athlete on their stats from a big game, and compliment a choir member on their most recent performance, all in one class period. He has a magnetic personality that is true and genuine and draws in students and staff. He is knowledgeable and full of wisdom. Jeff can take the simplest of biology topics and make them so interesting. He can also take the most difficult of topics and break it down into simpler pieces so the students can understand. His classroom management style is impossible to replicate. He forms positive relationships with students, which creates a learning environment built on trust and respect. Other words that colleagues use to describe Mr. Brown include kind, friendly, inspiring, fun, enthusiastic, genuine, caring, generous, energetic, thoughtful, engaging, and selfless. Finally, another colleague said, Jeff Brown drives his students daily toward success with his unwavering faith, his empathetic ears, and his infectious enthusiasm. It is an absolute pleasure to work side by side with him. I often learn and chuckle listening to his incredible lessons across the hall. I'm blessed to call him my colleague and my friend. The words of praise could go on, but the gist is he's a phenomenal teacher and an even better human being. He's certainly worthy of being named the RHS Teacher of the Year, and our students are blessed to have him in their lives. Congratulations, Mr. Brown.
That would be a great idea if you don't care. I'm glad you didn't make a comment about my being chairperson. Next, let's go on down the list with Mr. Freeman. Thank you very much.
Good evening, members of the board. In a school full of outstanding teachers, I could think of no better teacher to be chosen by my faculty as Teacher of the Year than Miss Kelly Morris. Ms. Morris has a passion for educating students that is evident every single day, as well as a genuine love for her students. Teaching is truly her calling, and she gives it her all every day for her students. Ms. Morris has been working in public education for 21 years and has served Radford City Public Schools for 18 years. During her 18 years at DIS, Ms. Morris has taught English 7, English 8, and has been our reading specialist since 2015. She's also been an English and reading enrichment teacher and helped remediate students who need extra assistance in English and reading. Ms. Morris is also a data expert and provides extra assistance to anyone who needs help analyzing their data. She assists our English and special education teachers daily on everything that pertains to data. Ms. Morris has involved her teaching of reading across all subjects and with all teachers at DIS. She works collaboratively with teachers to help support the reading needs of all of our students at Dalton Intermediate School. This year, with the implementation of the Virginia Literacy Act in middle schools, Kelly has become our expert in the VLA. This has meant she's had to miss some time out of the classroom to attend several professional development opportunities with the VLA. However, this time away from students was well spent as she comes back much more proficient in the requirements of the VLA and strategies to improve our reading program. Further, Ms. Morris has also mentored our new reading teacher, Casey Hogue, to further strengthen our reading program. Now, while observing Ms. Morris in the classroom, one quickly notices the many different approaches that are utilized. She's an expert in whole group instruction and allows her students to experience growth and success through implementing small group and individual practices in her instruction. She allows her students to problem solve on their own, yet provides support and help when necessary. Ms. Morris is able to differentiate her instruction to meet the various needs and learning styles of our students at Dalton Intermediate. Most importantly, Ms. Morris exemplifies an outstanding teacher through the relationships she is able to form with her students. She is a passionate advocate for not only students, but not only her students, but any students who need an advocate. Whenever Ms. Morris comes to me with a concern, I know it is a valid concern for the health, safety, and well-being of a child, or to explore the best practices we can use to assist a child. It is common to find Ms. Morris after hours or during lunch working with students to help them be successful. She can be found in her classroom on weekends and late into the hours of the night analyzing data and preparing lessons for her students. I'm proud to have Kelly as a member of our DIS team as she exemplifies everything a great teacher is, and we are proud to have her as our Teacher of the Year for Dalton Intermediate.
Yes. I think you need to give Mr. Brown some company. Mr. Wilder from Bell Heath Elementary. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am excited and very honored to recognize Michelle Saunders, an art teacher at Bell Heath, as our Bell Heath Teacher of the Year, as nominated by her peers. We think it was an easy decision this year. Quick story about Michelle Saunders. Her first year teaching, she was a volunteer. She did it for free because she was trying to get her foot in the door. Her second year teaching, because she wanted it so bad, she secured a grant that paid for her position. That was back in 1985 in Radford when she saw a need for art in the elementary schools. Knowing Ms. Saunders, I can only imagine how good that year must have been because she earned that spot and has been with us ever since. This is her 40th year teaching now in Radford. 39th, I apologize. I apologize. I'm just rounding up, you know. And I think it's special to realize that she teaches elementary art. And so every kid that has come through Radford City Schools since that time has had her. So I can only imagine the web of impact that you've had. This is a very exciting for year, and this is, you know, she has always gone above and beyond, but this year, you know, we really feel it because this is the first year that she has been at one school only. She split her time. So we do appreciate the board and Ms. Long and Dr. Joyce and Ms. Shull and everybody that worked to get that because it's really allowed her to flourish and not, you know, finally have time to put all of her effort into one thing. Here's a couple of things that teammates, coworkers, and students have mentioned about her. She has a love and passion for both working with students and the content that she teaches. She loves art, and she's actually a talented artist. So when you combine that and her love for kids, all kids, every kid that walks through the door, regardless of the background, any challenges they may present, she welcomes them all and takes the love for her content to her kids. She takes ideas and she runs with them. She's a runner. We don't have to go say, hey, Miss Saunders, here's a good idea we have. It's the other way. When she brings an idea, we say yes because we know she'll run with it. She actually came to a previous board meeting. One of the coolest things I've seen in education was she organized and collaborated with Glencoe Museum with our sixth graders, and she kind of did a two-part thing where they did a field trip, took all the kids, organized it herself, went to Glencoe, and then followed it up, had students create a coloring book that is currently sold at Glencoe. So you can go, I think you all got a copy, but you can go down there and get one. And again, that's just one of the many examples of her taking her love for art and willing to go above and beyond. That is not the expectation for every class that you organize a field trip, but she did that, and it was absolutely amazing. She collaborates with classroom teachers. So not only does she value the art classroom, she values all subjects, and she works with our classroom teachers to incorporate SOL standards into art that aren't art specific, whether it's math, science, history, whatever. She's actually probably one of our top math tutors in the school. And if you come to our school in March or April, when we're starting to hit that SOL remediation time, you will see her in the hallways during her planning period working with students on math. Again, that is not something that we say, Miss Saunders, go tutor this kid in math. She goes to classroom teachers and says, what support do you need? Her classroom management is amazing. If we ever got a call to go to Miss Saunders' room, I would immediately call our resource officer and we would be sprinting there. I don't think in my time at Bell Heath I've ever been called to that room, which again, we know that when kids are engaged and learning, behaviors drop drastically. So that tells me that that classroom is engaged. As you can imagine, art, it's very important to be organized and clean with all the supplies. I don't know how you do it in a 30-minute period, getting the supplies out, teaching the class, and then, cleaning up and ready for the next grade, which might be a completely different lesson. And then last, again, it's kind of been a theme, but she's a leader who jumps in wherever it's needed, whether it's the house system, she's in visionary and she's proud of it. It could be a student in need that she hears, she jumps in wherever needed, car rider duty, doesn't matter. We're very honored to have you, and again, just your love for kids and ability to go above and beyond for the school. So, yeah.
Can you pass that down to Ms. Swing? Thank you. Mr. Keister, thank you.
All right. It is my pleasure to introduce Miss Katie Bondurant for McCarg's 24-25 Teacher of the Year. Katie is one of those rare people who bring her whole heart with her to work every single day. And the impact she has on her students in our school community is simply incredible. Katie's commitment to literacy is inspiring. She believes without a doubt that every single child can learn to read, and she works tirelessly to make that happen. Katie meets each student exactly where they are, building on their strengths and supporting their growth in a way that's thoughtful, intentional, and full of encouragement. Her classroom is a place where kids feel safe, loved, and inspired to reach their potential. What truly sets Katie apart is a way she connects with her students and her families. She takes the time to get to know each child, celebrating their successes and helping them through the challenges. Her students know she believes in them, and it shows in the way they light up when they talk about Miss B. Katie's relationships with her students go beyond academics. She's a mentor, a cheerleader, and often a source of comfort. Katie embodies everything Radford City Schools stands for: excellence in education, every student, every day. She doesn't just talk about that mission, she lives it. Katie's passion and dedication and care are an inspiration to everyone around her. There's no doubt in my mind that Katie Bondurant is more than deserving of this recognition. She is truly a treasure, and I'm so grateful to know her and witness the incredible work she does day in and day out.
Okay, at this time, I'd like for Dr. McDaniel to talk a little bit about the process for Teacher of the Year for Radford City Public Schools, and then we'll have our board members, if you guys will indulge me, we'll come around and have a picture here up front.
Yes.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, before I do that, one more thing we're going to give to each of you is a certificate. We know you have a pretty little certificate there, but this one is good for registration and the travel expenses to attend what was formerly known as the VASCD conference, is now known as the Virginia Association for Teaching, Learning, and Leading. And that'll be in the fall. And so we wanted to send you all to that as leaders in your school. So there's a certificate you can turn into me. Because they are leaders in their school, and that's one of the reasons they're here today. But, you know, we are really blessed in Radford City Schools with so many awesome teachers. And when it came time for this, the Teacher of the Year, each of them were nominated by their peers and voted on by their peers. So that's also a really big honor to be chosen among many excellent teachers to represent your school. So congratulations to each of you. For that process, we want to also submit someone to be in the running for our State Teacher of the Year. So we had them complete an application for us in which they had to write 5 essays and get at least 3 letters of recommendation from administrators, other colleagues, even students. And they all did that, and then we had a team here. Thank goodness we had a team. I would not have done this by myself. Of people to interview each one and then make the very, very tough decision of who would be our Division Teacher of the Year from this group. And I will tell you, the day of the interviews was a pleasure. A couple of people are here that did it with me, and we so enjoyed just spending that time with you all and getting to know you a little bit better. There were times we laughed. There were times they had us in tears because of their passion and their dedication to education. It was truly inspiring for us. I mean, we were like, how can we make this decision? But we ultimately had to come to some decision. So it is my great honor to present our Radford City School Division Teacher of the Year, and it goes to Mr. Jeff Brown.
You're going to have to get the chalk off your nose, too, from the... Can we have a picture? If you, all 4 of you guys will line up front, and we'll get a picture with the board. Legos! Just the board. Okay, you talked me into it. I'm sure we're going to have to turn sideways. I can already feel it. And some of us are going to have to go up front. Thank you, Mr. Hill. Thank you. Congratulations. That's always very special. And I want to thank Dr. McDaniel for all of her work. She led that from top to bottom, from start to finish. So I appreciate that very much. And congratulations again to the 4 and Mr. Brown. All right, next up we're going to have Mr. Cole Wilder come up again and introduce his Bell Heath Student and School Showcase for the month of January. Thank you, sir.
All right, so at elementary, we sometimes get jealous at board meetings when the high school comes up and y'all have all these teams that go compete. We don't get a lot of that. But we do have one group that does go out and compete. Miss Emily Eagle, who's our one of our gifted teachers, got the Lego League started back. My understanding is it used to be a thing and it went away. And then she came to me and said she wanted to do it and secured the money through a grant. So we said, let's go do it. So our Lego League team competed right before break, and they're going to share a little bit. So if y'all want to introduce yourselves and then maybe take the Legos up there to the table so they can see. Okay? And there are some pictures. They're not going to really, so if you just want to kind of click through them, there's about 12 as they're talking. Introduce yourselves.
Here, you-
Hi, I'm Kendall Toller.
Hi, I'm Hudson Gerald, and just to you to know, we're all in 6th grade.
Hi, I'm Juliet Deshawn. So I mainly worked on what we called the innovation project. It's like that tank over there. Got a bunch of coral and Legos. I mean Lego League. A big part of the project was to design something that could fix a problem, like one of the major problems in the ocean. And we decided to work on overfishing. So we created, I mean, it's not going to be real, basically the International Space Station, but underwater. That's about it. International Bobcat Station. It's cool. We track fish.
Hi, my name is Hudson Gerald, and I mainly worked on the robot and coding. Thank you. So we had a scrimmage before we first started competing, and that is when we really used coding and we figured out how to use it. So the scrimmage really helped us. Probably can't do all that in 2 minutes. So we're gonna leave that here. There are more members to the team that helped with the robot, and I am just one of them, so yeah, that's about it. Again.
So I'm here to talk about that star-shaped trophy over there. We got that for the Core Values Award, and what Core Values means is that basically we were respectful and responsible, and we had good sportsmanship and all that stuff. And so that's the we got first place.
So you represented.
And I'll add again, this is the first year getting back into this, so I think Miss Eagle and the team has big ideas for growing this program over the next few years and continuing to compete. So hopefully you hear more about it. And if you have any questions, again, it's very fancy. I don't know all the things it does, but feel free to look at it. Yeah.
I have two comments. One is that trophy makes people who work for this division very proud of what you guys have done. First place, second place, those are great. That trophy is really special. Also, who designed the T-shirt?
It was another team member that is not here today.
Well, it's very nice. I really like it. It's very catchy.
Well, we had the design idea, and then we sent it off to like a professional, and then we got it like printed on shirt.
Oh, you sent that off. Right, you sent it off to your marketing team. It's very nice. Bobcat Builders. Any questions? Very nicely done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. At this time, I'd like to welcome to the podium Mr. Colin Barron from the high school to give us a little Bobcat update, if you don't mind. Thank you.
All right. right, good evening, everyone. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has.
I'm very thrilled to be back tonight to speak about recent and upcoming events at the high school. Now, as sad as it was for teachers and students alike to see the break go and stick around for a little bit longer than we anticipated, we were very, very excited to get back. This second semester, I can already feel it, is going to be one of the best semesters at Radford High School that we're going to have of all time. All right, on the day of return, we had a new policy get implemented, and this is the cell phone policy where we're on a bell-to-bell schedule. What this means is that we will have our cell phones off and stored away in our book bags from the start of the day to the end of the day, and this has already been showing tons and tons of positive results. I've been looking around. I've been seeing that students are more actively engaged in classes, more involved with their friends at school, and just generally more focused throughout the day. It's been very, very beneficial for our school. They might have a little bit trouble focusing on Friday because we're having our first pep rally of the second semester, and we are very excited about this. I can't wait because we are going to have a powder puff volleyball game. I believe, Mr. Simpson, is it correct, students versus teachers? Is it students versus teachers? Juniors versus seniors, even better. I am all about that. So we are very excited for that. This is a pep rally to mostly celebrate our winter sports teams. And speaking of sports, the Bobcats are crushing it as always. The girls varsity basketball team won against Eastmont yesterday with a final score of 47-34. Tonight, they're going up against Glenver as we speak right now. Their game started at 6, and I hope that they're doing as well as we hope, as well as they did last game especially. The RHS dive team competed yesterday and did very well, earning a first, second, and sixth place trophies. Tonight, the swim team is competing in a meet against a lot of different schools in our region. Let's see here. Tomorrow, we've got a basketball game for the girls. They're competing against Glenver at home. There's also a Scholastic Bowl game tomorrow. Oh, excuse me, I'm so sorry. The boys basketball team is competing against Glenver. Forgive me, the girls is going up against them tonight. There's also a Scholastic Bowl match at Patrick County tomorrow. Congratulations to these teams on their wins and best of luck for the games in the future. In other news, the Bobcat choirs are preparing for choral assessments in March. Now it's a bit early to start, but we want to keep our reputation of being the best choir for our school. We are also preparing for all district choir, which we had a whopping, I think it was over 30, I think 34 is the number. 34 students from the middle and high school placed into the all district level of choir. So very, very proud of them. The Bobcat Theater Company has recently casted the spring musical production of The Little Mermaid, which will be performed in April. So mark your calendars for this. This is going to be one of the biggest casts on the Radford High School stage that we've had in a very, very long time. I think there's over 50 students in the middle school, Bell Heath Elementary, and in the high school altogether. Before I conclude this meeting, I would like to give a congratulations on behalf of the Radford High School student body to the Ferguson family and the Beasley family on the births of their children. Now, as you can see, there's a lot to look forward to at Radford High School, and we're about to have a great second semester. Thank you for allowing me to come share today, and as always, go Bobcats.
Thank you. Very nice. And for the play in April, we will have brand new seating, which I'm getting ahead of myself, and a brand new concession stand. All those things are almost completed as we speak. All right, I just want to call your attention to the fact that this is Virginia School Principals Week, and all week central office staff will be celebrating the job that our principals do each day. They're a dedicated bunch. I'm very proud of these principals. They care a lot about their students and staff. They care a lot about the families that attend their schools, and it's our pleasure, Dr. McDaniel and I and others, it's our pleasure to show them some love during this week. So we've got some different things planned. Also, if you'll check their social media sites, you'll see some passages there on their behalf. So we are quite proud of the group that we have as principals at Radford City Schools, and we celebrate them this week. Also, along those lines, on Sunday, so the snow came Friday night, a little bit later than I was hoping. But anyway, hopefully they enjoyed their 2-hour early release. But the snow hit kind of odd. So on Sunday, I just want you guys to realize that we had custodians, principals, athletic director, and maintenance folks at all 4 schools pushing, shoveling, and salting our facilities so that we would have a better chance of getting back to school quicker. But on a Sunday afternoon, it's a pretty tough call to get these folks, and Mr. Simpson was here early Sunday morning, to get these folks out to do these things to have our facilities safe and ready to go for kids. So I just wanted to call that to your attention. Not every snowstorm hits on the weekend, but this one did, and so we had really good turnout for those things. So thank you guys very much. A lot of those folks are here. I also wanted to comment on the cell phones. So we're back a few days into our bell-to-bell cell phone rules, and talking with Mr. Simpson and Mr. Freeman, it seems to be going very well. I know lunch was a pretty big deal to the kids last semester, but now we're into bell-to-bell. I visited Mr. Freeman at middle school lunch not too many days ago, and we couldn't hear each other talk, and I think that's because they were talking to each other. So, hopefully a lot more food's getting consumed, and a lot more conversations are being had around the lunch table. So, all in all, it's gone very well. Some folks are slower to, catch on than others, but that's okay. It's all for a good cause, actually. All right, ready to move on to the consent items. Thank you very much.
All right. Each of you should have had a chance to look over all of these items that were linked to your agenda.
If I may, 2 use of facilities were late, and you should have those hard copies in your packet. Thank you.
Are there any questions on anything you see there? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent items as presented?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent items stand approved. Do we have anyone signed up to speak tonight? We do not. Okay, so we can dispense with the public comment section, and we're back to you,
Okay.
Dr. Joyce.
Thanks very much. At this time, I'd like for Ms. Long to introduce the folks that have joined us tonight. We're going just a teensy bit out of order so that these folks can get back on the road. Ms. Long?
I'd like to introduce Diana Epperly from Robertson Farmer Fox. She is one of our auditors that I work very closely with. She's going to tell you about our fiscal year 2024 audit.
Good evening. As Carrie said, my name is Diana Epperly, and thank you for having me tonight. I want to start off by saying that the audit went very well. Management and staff, as always, were great to work with this year. The school board received an unmodified opinion, which means we believe that the financial statements are materially correct. At each of your seats is the audit presentation. If you look at page 1, it's the financial data, historical financial data of the school board for the past 10 years. The top section is total revenues based on funding source. During the current fiscal year, state revenue decreased $2.4 million. This was a result because of, in the prior fiscal year, a one-time construction funding of grant of $1.8 million was received. And in addition, basic school aid funding just decreased. We saw it in several different places across the state, basic school aid decrease. Federal revenue decreased $500,000. This decrease is a decrease in ESSER funding of $200,000. And then in addition, in the prior fiscal year, an ARPA grant was received for a one-time pandemic bonus and for an HVAC grant. The local operating contribution, which is the operating contribution from the city, it stayed about the same. It increased $84,000 this year. The local capital and other contribution from the city decreased about $690,000. You'll see in fiscal year 21 and 22 that amount was increased, but that was because of the McCarg project. And this contribution will vary from year to year just based on the capital projects that's going on at the school board. The next section are your operating expenditures. Overall, they stayed the same with the exception of instruction. Instruction expenditures decreased $1.8 million, and this is just an overall decrease of salary and benefits, and then a decrease in the virtual Virginia costs this year. Down below is your capital and other expenditures, and you'll see facilities and capital projects actually increased $1.4 million this year. Last year was the completion of the McCarg project, and this past fiscal year you had several capital projects going on at the high school, such as the bleachers, the HVAC, and the science classroom. And to pay for those, so the local contribution for capital decreased, but the school board used that one-time construction funds to pay for that, so it kind of offset there. New this year is your special item, which is a transfer of operations from Pulaski County School Board, and that's related to the operations of Southwest Virginia Governor's School being transferred in July. It's the transfer of the funds that their school board held for the governor's school, and then the actual funds at the governor's school. In blue, you'll see the overall fund balance decreased $1.3 million this year, but that was just as a result of your use of your construction funding. And if you look back, it kind of goes back into line. You saw it peak up in 2023. On page 2, well, I also want to point out, it's really difficult. You guys are kind of at the mercy of the city. So your financial health is just really dependent a lot on the city's financial health. On page 2 is a summary of your long-term obligations over the past 6 years. Accrued leave stayed the same, about $24,000 increase. VRS pension liability increased $350,000. If you look back in fiscal year 2022, you'll see that pension liability actually dropped. It's important to note that the pension liability is measured a year behind. So it's measured in 2022, it was measured as of June 30th, 2021, meaning at that time the markets were doing really well, so your liability decreased. As the years go on, we do expect that to come back up to where it was in between 2019 and 2021. Your other post-employment benefit liabilities overall decreased $92,000. On page 3 are our audit recommendations for the school board. I want to point out that 2 of those recommendations actually relate to the school activity fund audit. The first being that the high school, during our audit, we noted that they had a PayPal and a Venmo account that they were receiving online payments for. We recommend that the school board research platforms for which schools should accept online payments, and then policies and procedures be put in place, and that way that you can establish proper controls. Also, each of the schools currently are on a different school activity fund software, and it makes it difficult if bookkeepers have any questions or concerns because they can't talk to each other. And in addition, some of those systems are really outdated. And we recommend that we think that it would be beneficial for all the schools to be on the same school activity fund software so that they could communicate, and I think that it would have better efficiencies between the schools. On pages 4 through 9 are our audit recommendations for the school activity fund audit. We had no major concerns with the audit, but we just wanted to include those for your review. Each of the schools received a management comment under cash, and that starting in calendar year 2024, any account that was public deposit had to be confirmed to the State Treasury Department. And this was a new requirement, and so during the time of the school activity fund audit, the confirmation actually wasn't taking place, but since Carrie is now receiving bank statements and other information needed from the schools each quarter, to confirm that. So I just wanted to point out that I emailed her earlier, and I was like, I just wanted to make sure that you're doing this so I can let you guys know that that's been addressed. If you skip over to page 10, this is our letter with communications with those charged with governance. We're required to make certain disclosures to you, and those are in this letter. In addition, in the letter are significant estimates of the audit, key disclosures of the audit, and our proposed adjusting entries. Also, if we had any difficulty in dealing with management, it would be disclosed in this letter, but as I said at the beginning, we had no difficulty. I'm going to stop at this time and give you a chance to ask any questions. If there are no questions, I want to say that Corbin's information is at the front. Feel free to email him. Carrie has my information also, and I can leave some business cards before I leave. Feel free to email us at any time if you ever have a question throughout the year, and we're happy to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, so back to our organizational duties at hand. It's at this time that the board can discuss what days of the week, what weeks of the month, and what times of the day you would prefer to meet. And I would just make you aware that it's really up to you guys. You don't necessarily, and will you correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't necessarily have to meet at the same time on the same day each month, but you do have to have a monthly meeting. It would probably behoove the board to streamline those into the same week of the month. But again, this within guardrails is up to you guys. So I would now turn it over to the board to discuss what it is you'd like to see moving forward. And this will begin in February, unless we just can't decide. We can move it to February, but probably be better to hash that out tonight. So I'll turn it over to the board.
I'll lead off, and thank you, Dr. Joyce, for the information. Honestly, for me, this is one of those, it's not broke, we don't need to fix it sort of situations for me. We've maintained the same day of the month, we've maintained the same time for quite some time. It seems to be advantageous for parents or public people who want to come and speak for the most part. I know everyone has different schedules these days, but you know, as a person currently working full-time plus, it's been advantageous to me, but I'm one voice in five, so if you guys have a will or preference a different way, I can be swayed.
Well, thank you very much. I'm passing down to you now the draft of the 2025 school board meeting calendar as it stands now. That is, again, a draft that can be changed tonight. Also on page 2, you'll see a calendar, a yearly calendar with some dates highlighted. If you'll notice in March, that's our spring break. Also in April, that is the break around Easter. And then in November, you have some highlighted areas that we want to be aware of also. And also, and highlighted in blue are the dates that federal folks recognize. So you might want to look that over while you ponder. The November dates, that's the VSBA annual conference. So just for argument's sake, if it were to stand as it is now on the draft, we would really need to consider our March dates. But again, let's don't get too far ahead of ourselves. Are there other points of discussion about times or days or even weeks for that matter? Keeping in mind city council, so Mondays would probably not be a good idea. Things like that. Again, I don't mean to interject my feelings, but please talk amongst yourselves.
I'm fine with whatever you want to do.
I wouldn't be opposed to having an earlier meeting, but it's easier for me. So I understand Chris's issue, but I wasn't sure how everyone else felt. about an earlier meeting. And also, I do worry, one of the things that I really would like to see is more community participation. And in this small area, it's hard to do. And so one of the things that I would like to bring up is meeting at a different place that's safer, more parking, better lighting, better seating. And so that's one of the things that I did want to bring up, so I feel like now's probably the time to do it. But again, just one person, so I'll bring it up, and then if anybody else would like to jump in.
We could postpone that discussion maybe until new business and board member reports, and maybe just focus on schedule right now, or calendar right now.
Amanda, I'll share this sentiment with you with the location, and I had tabled an idea around the same thing, so we'll get there.
Jane, do you have any thoughts?
My only thoughts are in talking about wanting community involvement and parents and people who are interested in what we're doing being able to attend. I know it makes for a later night, but I think the 6 o'clock time allows people to get off work, take care of their families, and then come into a meeting if they want to be a part of what we're doing. If we move, and I know we have virtual visual options, but that's not the same if you want to be able to be present and present. I wouldn't want to go later, but I think 6 o'clock is what our community's used to. That doesn't mean you still have to do it that way all the time. But I know on my calendar for this year already, the second Tuesday of every month is already blocked off. It can be changed. That's why I write in pencil. But patterns, once you've established a pattern for the whole public to be participants in, to then change that takes a while for people to adjust, and we might lose input and participation that we didn't anticipate.
I think the day is good. Probably, I don't think we would want to change the actual day, because council, Fridays are Fridays. Wednesdays are church nights for a lot of people. So Tuesday, I feel set with Tuesday. So this is an action item, correct? We will.
Is that something they need to vote on?
It's listed as.
Oh, I see, it's under, yeah, right. So this would be the time for discussion, and then you can.
Yeah, and then we'll be ready to make a motion
Sure.
at that time.
Okay.
Perhaps the simplest thing is, I think, Brian, we haven't heard from you, but
Well, I mean, I'm like they say, I don't try to fix it if it's not broken. Everybody, it's working for everybody. You know, Tuesday's fine with me. The time is great. People are getting off work. What time do you get off work? Ever? I mean, but yeah, 6 o'clock's a pretty good time. So I'm cool with that. I think that's great.
perhaps maybe an easier way to ask is, does anyone have a burning passion as to why we should change the time?
There you go.
Have issues or concerns been brought forward to people?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard anybody saying, the only time I've ever heard an issue from the public has been whenever we have something during the day, and the comments usually, I work, I can't get there. That's the only time I've heard anything. But I'd say unless there's, someone has a burning passion or reason or, voice from the public who says, hey, move this to a different time. 6 o'clock on Tuesdays.
Sounds good to me.
Winner.
Winner.
Low-hanging fruit.
Next up is the school board representation on partnership boards and division committees. If you'll take one of those and pass it down. Ms. Boyd is going to pass down to you where we stand now with these divisions, or these representation on different boards. A couple of those we can fill in now. Let's drop down to the VSBA voting delegate. It is Ms. Swing. So if you guys would like to discuss, are you happy in that position, Ms. Swing? Okay. Anybody?
Who can argue with going to Williamsburg?
Right, right. Well, not I. Yeah. So, yes, ma'am.
May I mention too that I think it's like in July, we will actually have a vote that we'll vote for, because I have to send a document into the VSBA, so.
So as it stands now, we should just leave it as is? Okay.
And I don't know, Amanda has expressed an interest in getting more involved in the SBA. I would certainly be willing for her to be the alternate voting delegate if she would like to do that. It's up to her.
Are you sure you don't want to do it?
I'm sure.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Ray was our Region 7 Virtual Academy Board member. We will need to fill that vacancy. They meet quarterly, virtually. In fact, our next meeting is tomorrow night at 6:30. So you won't have much time to mull it over, whomever that might be. But it's really not a big lift. It's more of an informational type of committee where Ms. Cosme reports out how things are going in the Region 7 Virtual Academy world. There are decisions to be made, but nothing too crucial. So if you guys would like to discuss that representation.
Anyone want to get involved in that?
I was interested in the governor's school board member thing, and Nick probably is a little more involved than the virtual academy thing.
Well, it's in person, and it's
Yeah.
at the college,
Right.
but again, it's a lot about hearing about the good things that are happening at the governor's school. So there's not a whole lot of, heavy lifting there, but
I mean,
Let's,
I've skipped here.
yeah, let's
but-
attack this one first. I mean, if
in other words, don't
any of the
ask
three
you to
of
be on that.
want to do that, great. If not, I can pick that one up. It's up to you all.
Virtual.
Yeah.
Go for it, Chris.
Okay.
And I told you tomorrow night, Mr. Calfee, it's actually, I think it's Thursday night. I apologize.
Okay. We'll connect about that after a while.
I'll have Ms. Cosme send you an invitation.
Perfect.
All right, next up is the governor's school board member. That was Ms. Rife. It's now vacant.
Is that the one you wanted, Gloria?
I mean, if no one else has a burning desire, yes, I would take that one.
Anyone interested in being an alternate for that?
I can do that if need be. It's fine.
Okay.
Ryan, you said
Brian,
yes.
did I hear you say?
Yes, I can do
Mhm.
it
Okay.
all.
The RU Governor School for Arts and Humanities in its, early stages.
In our formative stages, I have not heard back from the report of the application in Richmond, so
Nor have I,
I have
but
nothing to report new about
Sure.
it,
But I
it's ever
mentioned-
evolving.
right, I mentioned that because you have been there since the inception.
Yes.
So that should probably have some bearing on moving forward.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm willing to continue if nobody else.
That sounds good.
I'll do you one better than that. I'd really love it if you would. But I'd hate to see you go this far with it and not see the job completed. Jane,
At
you've done
least
it.
want to see it get started.
Yeah, we've all been there. I'd hate to see you miss out on that one. You deserve it.
Since there is an alternate to governor's school, the other governor's school, should there be an alternate to this governor's school?
Well,
It's just a question.
they didn't
I know
ask.
we're not up and running yet.
Maybe
Right.
post formation, maybe? After formation, maybe?
Maybe now's not the time for it, by just looking at the
Is there
list.
anything,
Why don't we decide if someone wants to do that, if they do end
We'll
up
have a name
asking us.
ready.
pencil it in?
Oh, wait, are y'all asking if somebody
In case
wants
you guys
to?
are wondering, Amanda, we're looking right at you and
I
Brian.
see that,
We're
I
all-
see that.
All of us down here are staring at you
I
guys, so.
see that. You could put me down as an alternate when you have one, if you need one. Is that?
Okay, Amanda, so you want that one?
Sure, I feel like I do.
If it becomes
feel like
one,
I-
it's yours.
Didn't know I did.
Well, what's gonna happen is that's gonna be a really, really nice program.
Yeah.
I look forward to that getting off the ground.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Budget Committee, it is that time of year. I will ask a few folks to jump in with me head first, starting in a couple of weeks. So I'll let you guys discuss that amongst yourselves. It was Mr. Calfee and Ms. Boyd last year. I thought we did a really good job, but again, that's up to you guys.
How many people are you wanting for that?
Two, that way we don't have a quorum.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Those darn quorums.
I'm gonna tattoo that on my
I
hand.
really enjoyed that last year, but if someone else would like to do it, that's fine.
I would say the same. I enjoy it, but I mean, I love a good spreadsheet and I love numbers.
love
Hey, you
a
know
good
what? I do, man. I get excited about the numbers. The budget is my favorite time, but
I think y'all did a good job.
I would,
I think
I would also say if one of you all, especially as new members, if you want to get involved and you really want to get, you know,
See how the insides work.
yeah, I mean, if you want to see how the sausage is made, that's the committee to be on, because that's, you really get down to the bare knuckles of it.
I feel like y'all did a good job last year.
So we're gonna go with Mr. Calfee, Ms. Boyd. Okay?
I don't think they bought my pitch on that one.
Okay, nice try. The CTE Advisory Board, to my knowledge, I don't know if Ms. Mosby's still here, has been, we're looking to revamp that, correct? So this will be up to you guys who would like to sit on the CTE Advisory Board. And do you have any idea when they might meet, how often?
Exactly what is it?
I would like for you to have a member.
CTE advice.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I just didn't think there was a space for it on my spreadsheet.
Can we make one?
I don't know.
Let's make one.
Okay, can I put a pin in that?
Oh, yeah, that's got me written all over it.
Okay, that's a good idea. Let's decide who that might be, and Ms. Mosby and I. One? Sorry. And now it's been my experience that this would meet every semester. Okay?
I can do that. Nobody else wants it.
Once a
If you want
semester.
that one, Brian, let's go for
I'll
it.
take it.
I think
I'll
it
take
has
it.
your name written on
It does.
probably
Brian will
does.
take it.
Yeah.
And Special Education Advisory Board. Ms. Swing is serving in that capacity now.
Is that,
I have no problem staying. I mean, they meet quarterly.
You want it?
I don't mind.
you want it.
No,
You can have it.
no. I don't want you to be,
Ms. Winder, I think, kind of needs another place.
I think I might want that one.
Okay.
I think. But, only if you
I can
don't.
still go.
Okay, good.
You're just the voice.
That's scary.
One
It's
more.
it's an
There you go.
open meeting. I can still choose to.
Okay, good.
One more can go. Only one more. All right. Thank you very much. I would like to ask Ms. Long to speak again on the Statement of Economic Interests.
I sent those to you at the beginning of this month. Just a quick reminder, that they're due at the beginning of February. You do not want to be late because you will be penalized. So, but they need to be here in my office. If the first is, and I haven't looked to see if the first is a weekday, then that's when they're due.
I think I remember correctly, we discussed it last year about doing these electronically. Did we ever had any, I mean, I'm assuming,
The first is a Saturday.
Oh, so
Just
it
FYI.
must be the third, that they're due on the third then.
Okay.
Yes,
any progress on that, about doing that?
they can be done.
That can be done digitally? Okay, just to be sure. I know New River says do theirs digitally. Please don't send us paper. I just want to be sure.
I still print them out.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Ms. Long. The 2026-2027 budget season is well underway. We received the governor's budget amendments in December. We have since received the calc tool, which means a lot to Ms. Long, but maybe not many of us. There's not a lot of changes, if I may. We've met with each principal, Dr. McDaniel and I, each director, to get their wish list for the budget. They were very good in responding with things that they needed and not a lot of things that they didn't need. So I appreciate that. We can pay for anything you want. We can't pay for everything you want. They all understand that. But there were very reasonable requests that Ms. Long and I and Dr. McDaniel are sifting through now. And you'll see those things bear themselves out. A lot of the things, the good news is a lot of the things that they asked for, we were able to pay for on the spot. So it made some folks really happy, including me. But then we moved some things into next year's budget request, and we'll sort through those quickly and see what we come up with, see what shakes out. Okay? So there's not a lot to report except that on our end, things are rolling. The General Assembly, you know, the budget is a bill. So once that bill gets passed, we'll have a lot better understanding of where Radford lands as far as funding. Our LCI is among the lowest in the state at 0.1658, which means that the city can only pay for 16% of its education. And the state kicks in a whole lot of money for the Radford City folks. But these two fine folks and I will be working, and Dr. McDaniel will be working hard on the budget. March is coming on fast, and we'll present that in the month of March. Questions about the budget at this point? In its infantile stage.
Just real quickly, for those of you who are new to the board, we do have to have the budget to the city by April 1st. So that's kind of our deadline. And then at some time in the month of April, Dr. Boyce, and probably several of you all will go down there to present our budget.
Fun times. And you'll hear me say this 1,000 times. If it weren't for this lady on my right, it would not get done. All right, the 6-year comprehensive strategic plan workshop is headed our way on January 24th. That will be from beginning at 9 a.m. here at the board office. We will meet with Dr. Siebert, our consultant, and we will map out what RCPS will look like for the next 6 years. That is heady stuff. Dr. Siebert is the consummate professional. He spent time on the Board of Education in the state of Virginia. Every time I talk to Dr. Siebert, I leave the room smarter, and he's going to guide our discussions. You guys will have input. We'll push it to the schools for a meeting at the schools for input, as well as public input. By the time June rolls around, we will all have a finished product that we're very proud of, and I'm really looking forward to that. It's state law. It's in code that we have a 6-year strategic plan. And so we are very much looking forward to the plan that will take us forward. As we work on this plan and build it and craft it, other things might come up that we think needs attention, and we can address those as well. So on the 24th, while this will be a strategic plan meeting for this board, we can also discuss other things if you see fit. So it's public knowledge, it's open to the public, but we're going to just be dealing with strategic plans and the things that may go with it. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll have lunch here, and then we'll dismiss around 2 o'clock. But I wanted to thank you guys for making room for that on your calendar. I know that it was a pretty big lift, but that will be one of the meetings that you will enjoy. I mean, you enjoy all of them. This one will be special.
I'm excited about
Good. I am too. Thank you. And so is Dr. Siebert, and we have a team that will be working with us here at the school board office. All right, Mr. Dye, if you don't mind, would you pull up our enrollment report, please? So keep in mind that we are only in school 15 days. But our brick and mortar numbers continue to tick up. I think, Mr. Hill, correct me if I'm wrong, Bell Heath has had quite a few enrollees of late. Right, Mr. Wilder? Okay. Okay, good. Any questions about what's on the screen and what was in your packet? Okay, Mr. Dye, attendance, please. Mr. Errol's here with us, does a great job every day, keeps us on our toes each week, and then rolls it up for each month. Bell Heath continues to lead the way, but Mr. Freeman and his folks are right there. Here's what we've, or we, I should not say that, it's Ms. Gerald, has taken care of for the month of December. She does a great job. Everywhere I go, that's what I keep hearing.
Can I say one thing?
You can, absolutely, if you'll come to the podium.
So I think that there was a couple of questions last month, and I was not here, about the letters. So just because there's a letter that was sent out or a meeting, the school-based meeting, just because there was a meeting this month does not mean that they had a letter sent out in this month. So a student can have a letter sent out in August, but we're now meeting in December or January because they've reached a certain threshold. And so letters are going out for 5 unverified absences, and then meetings at the school level are happening at 6 unverified absences. The next step is a truancy meeting at 7 unverified absences, and then they're at court if there are further unverified absences. So just to clarify, because I watched the playback and I thought I just need to address that. So there's my addressing that. So,
Thank you. Very nice. All right, Mr. Dye, thank you. You can go ahead and click on the link. That one's not doing as much good. McCarg had a great December. Kudos to Mr. Keister and his team. Bell Heath, holding steady. Month to month, there's the intermediate school, a drop, and then the high school, a good drop as well. Month to month looks good, year to year looks really good. Questions or comments about those stats? Okay, Mr. Dye, thank you. You guys had in your packet some policy updates that we will get to soon. If you have any questions about those now during this report, I'm glad to help you with those. We're going to include some language in 2 policies that just make sense for the division. Okay? Capital projects. We alluded to this earlier. The auditorium upholstery seating looks wonderful. I know I sent you guys pictures. I wish you could stop by and see it in person. If you can, please do. It has been something that's been needed really, I guess, for how many years? 40? So we are very proud of the work that's being done there. I think we're going to have our carpets professionally cleaned to go with it. The carpets are still holding up pretty nicely. So that is going to be a makeover that the auditorium deserved, and the public's going to be very proud of. Also, our concession stand, we took the room off to the left when you walk into the auditorium lobby. We blew out that wall. We put some nice countertop and a nice secure window that will now be the concession stand. They had sort of put it in between the columns with some portable tables, and it served a purpose, but I think that this is going to be a much better situation and arrangement. Looks very nice. Now that's completed. If you go by there. The track project, the last minute of the last soccer game on that field will then give way to the dozers and trucks and all those backup tones that we're familiar with. And the track that, as you know it, will be taken up. There will be some changes to the track layout. Coach Roberts and I have been working on what will work best in the area that we have. We're hoping to bring pole vault to Radford High School. We're going to redo some of our jumping pits. The track will be best in the area, I promise. And so we're really looking forward to that. I was on the phone with Ms. Slusher earlier. The foundation is going to do a big blast for some fundraising. We have budgeted $750,000 for that project. It's going to come well short. That quote was a little dated. I talked to the folks, you guys recall, probably 6 months ago, maybe a few more months back. It has gone up. There are tiers of finished product, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. and we can discuss this later, but those things really increase the price. You can get the base done for X amount of dollars, but then when you start putting the finish on the track, that's where you run into the finished product and the increase. So we'll discuss that. But what has to happen is going to happen the minute soccer is finished, and we will talk about the Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 decisions at a later time. All we need are 30 days of weather above 50 degrees. So they lay it down and then lay something on top of it. It's all very complicated. But I'm very excited, and the foundation is behind us 100%, and so we'll see what happens. Questions about the track or the seats or the concession stand? Notice we're not talking about HVAC in the gym. We're not talking about bleachers. So we're doing very well. We're checking all these off. That's right. All right, so Ms. Long, I'm going to defer to you one more time. It's nice to have someone like Abbott and Costello up here. Do you want to be Abbott or Costello?
Be Abbott.
So you're all getting your fill of financial information at this school board meeting. So we have talked about last year. We've talked about the upcoming year. So let's talk about this year and see how we're doing. First of all, the governor's budget does present some changes to this current year's budget too. So at some point, we will present a budget amendment that you all will need to review and approve, and more than likely, it will go to the city for their approval also. So I just want you to kind of have that on your radar. We usually do try to do that after we finish the budget for the next school year. And so you know that usually I think we do it in it's April, but it may be May, and get it to the city so that they can get it on their agenda too. But Ryan, do you mind bringing up the worksheet for me, please? Okay, so this here is representing the first 6 months, so it is through the month of December. This is how our spending has gone. Our textbooks we've only spent just under $60,000. You still have 93% of it left to spend. We usually don't. We spend, a good amount of money in it, but usually we don't get up to the budget amount. And then our largest fund, which is our school board fund, this is where most of our expenses are paid out of, and that is the $9 million, almost $10 million spent so far, and we still have almost 74% left of that budget to spend. I will tell you that we do spend the majority of the money in the latter 6 months. This only shows like payment for teachers for 5 months because they don't get paid in the month of July. As of this date, we haven't received an invoice for the virtual school purchase services for those students, so it's not reflected there either. So, but I do anticipate in the next quarter, we probably will see the first payment come in and be requested. And then we have the cafeteria fund. It is almost at 50%, well, a little bit more than, just under 50% spent. So, that's pretty, I would say that's pretty normal for that fund. And then we'll go down into the grants fund. You're talking about we still have 56% left. I will say to you, we have spent all of our ESSER funds. So those have all been spent. And the HVAC funds also have been spent. So the largest amount of spending that's probably going to come from the grants funds the next few months will be the all-in spending, which is the current grant that we use to provide a lot of tutoring services to our students. And the next one is the health insurance fund. This is 6 months worth of health insurance premiums. So it's pretty right on where it's at. I think the fund at this particular time does have some cash in it, which is what our goal has been all along. So, but of course, we're only halfway through the school year, so we'll see how the rest goes. For the capital projects fund, we've spent just under 50% again. I don't really anticipate us spending a whole lot more money out of that particular fund this year, unless there's some kind of big project that you all decide.
I was thinking you did not just say that.
Or none of our equipment breaks. So,
The cold weather has really put a strain on some of our heating units, and I'm really proud of Marcus and Jacob Mr. Terry, for stepping up. They have really done a good job of keeping ahead of it.
okay, the Region 7, we are the fiscal agent for the Region 7 Virtual Academy. This fund is spent at 50% because it's basically the same expenses every month, so it is good to say that it's probably spent at 50%. It gets funding from K-12. K-12 Stride puts in some funding, and then she gets a lot of, I'm not sure what she calls it, but there's a percentage of each of the different schools that belong that we get a percentage from, and then the schools pay for a certain fee to be part of the academy. And then we are also the fiscal agent for the Southwest Virginia Governor School, and they're pretty close to about 50% too. Their teachers have only been paid 5 times also. So, because again, they don't get paid until July. And then you can see that we are currently still have 70%, almost 71% of our budget to spend. So, to me, we look pretty good. Do you all have any questions?
You see this year after year, if you say it looks pretty good. Thank you. That sounds good to me.
I would just remind everyone, Carrie, thank you as always. It is truly remarkable and amazing that comes out the way it does every year. It is important to understand for everyone who is here and everyone who's listening else, online, just as you pointed out, and thank you for pointing it out several times. Yes, it does look like there's a lot of money sitting there, but all of that money practically is spoken for. It's like your checkbook should be at home. Just because you see a balance in there doesn't mean you don't have bills in the mail. They're coming. We know they're coming. And that's, the work that Carrie does and everyone here in the school district at large. Everyone who picks up a crayon and says, I can reuse that, or, takes a sheet of paper and says, I'm going to duplex that and print on the backside too. Those things all add up. So because everyone in the district from top down, middle out is doing what we can to be responsible, that's where we can say that we are in budget, that we are able to maintain that. So thank you to everybody for that. But please don't misunderstand. Just because you see numbers on the board and it says, oh, look, we've got 73% of our budget left. We really don't. we don't go out and party tomorrow because of that. It's going somewhere. And that's, I do enjoy being on the budget committee because last year we got to sit down with Dr. Joyce and Carrie. We literally started with a blank piece of paper. I mean, we set it at a desk and nothing on it, no expectations, and said, okay, here's what everyone said they had to have. Here's what they said they would like to have. Here's what they wish they could get. And we built it from the ground up that way. And that's the only way to do it and do it responsibly. So thank you all so much for everything you do. It's amazing. But again, don't see that and break out the Sears catalog. It's not time. Santa Claus has already came and gone. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Long. And that's all I have.
Those 2 other classes we can talk about. All right, so that brings us to reports of board members, new business. So I'm just going to open the floor to anyone who would like to share something. Now, Amanda.
Now,
Ms.
Amanda.
Winder, now you can do it.
Now's when I need to talk about perhaps meeting at a more conducive place. Yes, so I said it earlier, sorry, and so I just wanted to see what everybody else thought about that. Chris, I know you said you had some thoughts, so go ahead.
There's an opportunity that has come up in the past where we had to find an alternate location for a meeting. I think it was an HVAC issue.
It was before me.
Really seems like it was something along those lines. But it's been mentioned several times and it just doesn't seem to go anywhere. I would like to see us, now that we have new board members here, we have new opportunities. This space is great. It's cozy, is the way I like to put it. Sometimes, especially in the summertime, it's a bit more cozy than others. We have larger crowds. It becomes less cozy and more like, Thanksgiving dinner and everybody's sitting at the kids' tables. But I would like to see us explore the opportunity to meet at, different locations within the city, find a more suitable location, something more up to date. Something with more space. For those of you who don't know, if you've ever been surprised by it, when we walk out of here at night, it's dark. No, I'm not afraid of the dark, but I am afraid of, I'm very self-aware. I do understand physics, and I do understand how ice with me doesn't work. So, something well lit, something that is easy for people to get in and out of, something with better parking. Because tonight when I got here, it's great to see a crowd, but I parked around the corner down the street because that's what was available. It's not always conducive to somebody. It doesn't entice a person to come in and speak if you have to park 2 blocks down. Sure. I have a location in mind, but I haven't spoken to the folks that are there. So I would, not to call our friends out, but if we had an opportunity to share a facility with, I don't know, perhaps a municipal building and our friends at the city would be amicable to us sharing a space, possibly. Maybe that's a conversation we can pursue to see if it's something they would consider.
If you tell me to pursue it, I'll pursue it.
I would be more like politely, respectfully ask you to pursue it. I'm not a big fan of directing and telling. But
I do have a question. Have we thought about using any of the schools, like the areas at the schools, if there's a problem with?
I'm all for exploring anything, any opportunity. I just know that in the past there's been some pushback on, we want to make sure that we have the ability to stream things.
Right.
For the folks that can't make it and can't be here. So we got to make sure a location we pick can do that. We got to make sure that it's accessible to everyone in the community, regardless of circumstances. We want to make sure that it is something our school facilities should be, and I think all are. But any venue that we can find that would meet our standards and requirements.
Is this place even ADA? I mean, is it even?
It does have a ramp.
It does?
Yeah,
It doesn't come to this door.
It goes to a different.
There's a ramp that
okay.
goes down the side.
I was just making sure.
It's one of those technically yes.
Right. I got you. Well, I think we definitely need to look into something. So.
Sure.
If I may, I will mention that we have in the past met at some of the at all the schools.
Yeah.
At one time, it was the rotation that, I think it was almost the last 4 meetings of the school year, we would meet one at each school. Now, it makes it a little bit difficult for the month of March due to the fact that it's the budget meeting, but we have done it at the schools before. So it's not impossible to do it that way. We didn't have to have as much of the audio-visual type of equipment at that time.
Right.
That we would, because we were not broadcasting our meetings. But I will say that it can be done, and we have done it in the past.
I think allowing Dr. Joyce to explore options is the route to go.
Okay.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Happy to do so.
And you know the issues. I mean.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm open to any options. I agree with Amanda. I think it's one of those opportunities that, for one, I like consistency.
I've got one resolve if it happens to go that way, but
your house.
You do your work. Sure, I don't care. I can do it outside. It don't matter to me. I'm good.
It's like 8 degrees,
The
man.
thing about doing it at school is that you have to set up the audio for us to be heard.
Right.
You know, there is one location in the city that has that established and doesn't have to be set up.
Do they have broadcasting abilities also?
Brian or Stacy might be able to answer that at the, in the council chamber.
I would say maybe it's a great question just to ask when we're exploring all those options. That way we're not.
Sure.
I don't want to commit to anything on behalf of our friends that I don't have any authority to do anything with, but
Well, what
I think
I
as
can
we
do-
explore the options.
What I can certainly do is reach out to Mr. Meadows and have a conversation with him. We've met on several different things, by phone and in person, so I'm happy to meet with Mr. Meadows and just see what's available, if anything.
And always the option that comes around, you know, maybe the option is we do take tours of the school, and I'm not opposed to that either. I like being in our schools as much as possible.
That could be a change.
Yeah.
If we were to meet in one place most of the time, we could certainly meet in the school to change it up a little bit at least once.
I will say that we have not met at the new McCart, it was the old McCart that we
There you
met.
Fair enough.
Okay. As we authorize you to do this, does it require an action, a motion? Okay. Right.
It requires me to write it down, so I don't forget.
Okay.
And that's been done.
Okay, all right. All right, so anything else from our board members? I just wanted to share with you that Dr. Joyce has been with us almost a year now. And
In fact, 16th. So we're right on top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
close.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. And so, the previous board, seated board, did, do evaluations with Dr. Joyce, and he was scored very, very high. But in order to reset his contract so that it's a more traditional July 1 to June 30th timeframe, I'm just notifying you that, and the public, that I intend to begin contract discussions with Dr. Joyce in the coming weeks to make that contract timeline what is the traditional timeline. So we will keep you updated on that.
Okay.
All right, then we're moving to action items. And first is the school board meeting calendar, which we discussed, and I feel like we're probably ready for a motion. So I would welcome a motion to approve the calendar as it stands.
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that carries. And so we go to the VSBA Code of Conduct for board members, and everyone had an active link to be able to look at that. We are members of VSBA as a board. It is not an individual membership. It is a collective membership. And this Code of Conduct, traditionally, we have signed. The expectations are very reasonable. So I would entertain a motion to accept the VSBA Code of Conduct for board members and sign.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, that carries, and I guess we'll sign that this evening.
Ms. Long will have it.
She's got it.
All right.
All right, the next action item has to do with our course catalog, which is quite extensive. We've added a number of new courses that sound very interesting. But as Dr. Joyce was talking to me today, having the availability and offering these courses, we have to have the enrollment to justify moving forward with them. But having those options ready to go is important. So
So, if you don't mind, I'd like to introduce again Dr. McDaniel.
Well, Mr. Simpson's can come up too.
And I'll remind you while you get settled that this came up at the last board meeting, but Dr. Ray and Ms. Rife decided that a January discussion would be more beneficial to our new board members so that they can chime in on what will most, affect these folks moving forward, as opposed to them, at their last board meeting, their last board meeting. So I appreciate that gesture. Sorry.
So last month, Mr. Simpson presented some new courses that we'd like to add, and I think there's a couple of other new additions, and then everything else is gonna be a continuation of the courses we've already offered, so I'm gonna turn it over to him.
Sure. So the only additional course that's been added in this draft is dual enrolled French, which we have proposed that for Spanish as well. That was in the last meeting. We talked about that. So essentially that's French, historically French 4 and Spanish 4. We would like to see a dual enrolled option. So that's been added. There are a few potential courses that we have not added yet. They have to do with staffing and potential hiring, right? So if we have revisions in the future, we'll bring those and update you. But for now, that's the most updated draft. We also added a flow chart of the course, math course sequences to that to help with decision making and help planning as families look at and students look at their progression of math courses. That visual we thought would be helpful. And so, and then for the most part, it was a lot of the same language. There was a few tweaks to some of the wording that we ran into this year that when we were talking about things with families, we wanted to clarify, just even restructuring sentences and things, minor changes like that. So.
Thank you. Questions?
I would like to say that I'm very proud of the work that Mr. Simpson and his folks have done to bring the most relevant, interesting, engaging courses to our attention, things that he feels like the staff can certainly handle and that the kids would like to enroll in. So, there's no underwater basket weaving in our course catalog. There are some very nice cutting edge courses that will help us meet not only the interests and demands at his school, but help check a lot of boxes on the state level as well. So I appreciate Ms. Mosby. She's still in the corner?
She's in the
Hello.
corner.
Mr. Simpson and Dr. McDaniel.
Thank you.
Yeah, so this will need to be voted on. Yeah.
And I would just say that anyone who's watching, parents or families, whatever, if you go to the agenda for this meeting, there is an interactive link that will take you to that so that you can look through it and see what all's available. All right, so I need a motion to approve this course catalog for the school year 2025-2026. A second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so now we're moving to policy revisions. Do you want to say anything about that?
Yeah, if I may. Before we go much further, that is one of the most attractive, robust, and aggressive course catalogs that I've been a part of. So I appreciate, again, all the work. All right, so a couple of new policies that we would like to bring to your attention, a regulation, actually, and a policy. The first one, GBEA, we would like to add the language under unlawful manufacture, distribution, dispensing, possession, or use of a controlled substance to include marijuana and alcohol. We're going to add marijuana and alcohol. It will read marijuana or alcohol. The controlled substance part, according to my experience, experience of others in central office and our attorney, does not go far enough. So we would like to add what you see in red. I think you had a link to that, correct?
We did.
And it will include marijuana or alcohol in a couple of different places, and then add some very specific language to our policy. Moving forward, I think that will be in the best interest of the division. Okay, that's background on that one. Under GDG, we had long operated under a probationary period for support staff positions, those that aren't teachers, are classified positions, a 90-day work length of time where they would be on probation. What happens is if that employee were to misbehave, after the 90 days, they get a grievance period. And during that time, they are paid as if they were working while we work through that grievance. What we have found and what our attorney has recommended is that's too short of a period of time. So we would like to extend that to 18 months, where then if a situation comes up that we are able to deal with it quicker, and we may even need to dismiss that person quicker and not drag it out. I shouldn't say that. It wouldn't have to go through so many steps, and we don't necessarily need to pay that person while that, for unreasonable reasons, if I may. It's getting late. Use your words, Adam. We just need more time to deal with our classified employees so that we can deal with them quicker, and that's what's recommended by our attorney, and that's best practice. Did I butcher that enough, Ms. Jewell? Okay, good thing. What is it, midnight?
And this can be approved, those two policies together as one motion, correct?
Okay.
Well, it is a policy and a regulation, so we might want to include that word.
You want to separate them? I'd feel more comfortable.
Okay, well, if you want.
I'd feel more
you can
comfortable.
do them as two separate ones if you'd like.
Yeah.
All right.
So we'll
The
start.
first one was the policy or the regulation?
The regulation, the first one I talked about.
Right.
GBEA.
GBEA. All right, so I'll entertain a motion. Say that again, GB what?
EA.
EA,
Mhm.
okay.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve regulation GBEA as presented by Dr. Joyce.
So moved.
And a second? Second. All of, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, and then we will move on to
GDG. Policy. Mm-hmm.
Policy GDE.
No, I'm sorry, GDG.
Sorry.
Thank you.
All right, policy GDG, I would entertain a motion to approve policy, the revision to policy GDG. A second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I just real quick want to ask Dr. Joyce, this does put, the 18-month does put us in agreement with what we find throughout the rest of the state, correct?
It's been that's the information.
Based on the advice we received from legal counsel as well.
Right, is that he was a little surprised that we had such a short window anyway.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure for my own edification as well as anyone listening that it's not, we just arbitrarily came up with it was
That's a great question.
based on counsel as well as an occupational norm
Right.
that it would be a longer term. Thank you. Thank you.
So, we're ready for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right, motion carries. Ms. Swing, would you move us into closed session?
Madam Chair, I move that the board convene into closed session pursuant to section 2.23711A1 to discuss, 1, the appointment, resignation, and retirement of employees of the school board.
Dr. Ray would be so proud.
Is there
He
a
set
second?
a prime example.
Second.
A second has been heard. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are in closed session. I would ask for a motion to convene in regular session.
I move to reconvene in open session.
Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And Ms. Swing, will you certify our closed meeting, please?
I move to certify that only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened, were heard, discussed, or considered in said meeting by this public body.
Do we need a second for that? Is there a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? No. Okay. So now I need a motion to approve Personnel 1.0.
Madam Chair, I move to accept Personnel Matters 1.0 as discussed in closed session.
All right, very good. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We had no student matters, no tuition students to consider. So that takes us to the conclusion of our business for this evening. Our next meeting will be on February 11th, and we thank you for joining us, and I hope that you have a good evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move to adjourn.
Oh, okay.
Slam
Well,
your
I'm
little
gonna finish
thing.
it out. Second?
Slam your hammer.
Yeah, okay. This meeting's adjourned.